I have come to the conclusion that shopping malls should be illegal and that every one of them should be torn down immediately. They are fatal to your diet and they are fatal to your eating plan. I discovered this last week when I went into my local shopping mall and I had a very simple assignment. I needed to transfer service from my old smartphone to my new smartphone. So here I had the old smartphone, new smartphone, needed to get service transferred from one to the other. A simple task required parking at the mall, going inside, spending time in the smartphone store, and walking out. Well, it wasn't nearly that simple because as I walked in, there was a great big display of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And next to that was the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Company with these wonderful smells just emanating out from it. As I walked into the mall and I picked the entrance closest to the smartphone store, I walked through the mall, up the escalator, and there was Cinnabon, cinnamon treats. And next to the elevator was a huge bank, the biggest I've ever seen, a big bank of sweet dispensers where you could insert a quarter or a dollar, get a whole bunch of sweets or bubble gum or chewing gum. So just getting from the mall entrance to the smartphone store, you had to pass all these places where you could eat. So I was there in the smartphone store. Eventually I left and I thought, well, maybe I'll just reward myself with a little treat at Haagen-Dazs. Then I thought, before I do that, let me just do some tapping right here and now. So as I was going down the escalator, I just tapped here on the collarbone point a few times, tapped over here on the karate chop point a few times, and I began to find that my craving, that my interest in those foods, those sweets, those treats, began to shift. And I realized what my body really wanted at that moment was water. I wasn't really hungry at all. I wanted water. And I had some water back in the car. I also remembered that I had an eating plan for the day. I had a plan of what I'd have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Haagen-Dazs was not on that plan. Now, I didn't try and stop myself having a Cinnabon treat or Haagen-Dazs, but I remembered that at home I had this really delicious, low-calorie, low-fat lunch I prepared for myself, that if I stopped myself with things at the mall, I wouldn't want to eat the healthy food I had at home. And that healthy food and the water began to call to me. My body really wanted that water, it wanted that healthy food, and all of those siren calls of all of the fast food joints and all of the sweets and treats in the mall just began to fade into the background. I walked to the car, I drove home. Again, no willpower, no real decision about I will do this, I'll force myself, I must, I should do this. No top dog, underdog, one part of me forcing me to do what another part of me didn't want to do. Just naturally shifting from realizing, oh, I'm not craving sugar. What my body really wants is water. And that happened just because I did some tapping. So give it a try. Next time you're tempted, if you go to a shopping mall, or if you're in a place where there are all kinds of available temptations, do a little bit of inconspicuous tapping. Just rub your karate chop point like this. Hardly even noticeable. Or just do this. Rub or tap your collarbone point. Again, hardly anyone notices you doing that. Or just rubbing one of these points over here, or just maybe looks like I'm thinking if I'm doing this. So whatever it takes to just shift, do some tapping, become conscious. And that'll help you tune into what your body really wants. Tune into what your body really needs. It's often not those sweets. It's often protein. It's often healthy, nutritious snacks. It's often water. Well, you can't avoid the mall. Those malls will not get torn down. But what you can do is set yourself up for success in the mall by having a good plan before the day begins, tapping on that, tapping at the thought of going in situations where you might be tempted. And also when you are tempted, just tap, tune in to what your body really needs. It might be water, it might be healthy food, it probably will not be those high quality, high fat things that are the downfall of all of us.